Kathy has worked for the Australian Tax Office for 24 years. She has several law subjects under her belt and a Certificate 3 in Financial Services. But she wants to tell you she is not qualified to give tax advice. The talk is based on the last 3 years she has spent running an indie game studio, Joy Ever After Studios. We also have with us 5 brave actors, thank you, who are going to help Kathy illustrate indie finances. The answers they give do not reflect their own life situations. I will now hand over to our interrogator, who will conduct Kathy's talk.
Welcome everyone. Tonight I want you to explore the subterranean world of indie finances with me and all of us. I'm going to have some help tonight. Kathy is going to be from the ATO. When she says, "Hi, I'm from the ATO," I want you all to say, "Oh no, not the ATO." Let's have a practice, Kathy.
Hi, I'm from the ATO.
No, not the ATO.
And Adam is going to be from ASIC. When Adam says, "Hi, I'm from ASIC," that's how you pronounce that?
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone please say, "Hey, SIC, it's ASIC."
Hey, sick.
Adam?
Hi, I'm from ASIC.
Hey, sick, it's ASIC.
Thank you. Let's start with our first interviewee. Can you tell me who you represent tonight?
Hi, interrogator. My name's Solomon N. Trader, but please just call me Sol.
It's nice to meet you, Sol. Are you an independent game developer?
I'm not sure. Maybe?
Maybe?
Ideally, I'll get a job in the games industry. But until then, until I have enough experience to set up my own company.
Yeah. And what are you doing to meet that goal?
Well, I just finished an art degree last year, and they helped me set up a portfolio on ArtStation. I'm on LinkedIn. I check for the Looking for Game Developers Facebook page regularly, and I'm in the Adelaide Game Developers Discord. I've been doing a bit of art for mates on the side, but I haven't really set up a business or anything.
So you want to be involved in game dev. You are qualified and you've been working in the industry.
I guess.
If you don't mind me asking, where do you get your funds?
Well, I had a restaurant job, but it closed down, so I'm on Centrelink right now. I had a look at the NICE requirements, though, and I thought I might give that a try.
NICE being...
Oh, jeez, I forgot.
NICE being the new Enterprise Incentive Scheme. You have to do a business course, and they help you make a business plan. You get a NICE allowance for 9 months, and you don't have to declare business income.
That sounds pretty good to me. Anything else you're looking at doing right now?
Well, I set up a creator page on Patreon to see if people would pay me while I do art. I stream once a week, and I get $15 a week from that, so pretty good.
Pretty good. Anything else?
Put a couple assets in the Epic Game Store as well.
Pretty diverse portfolio then, yeah. You mentioned you've been doing a bit of art for mates. Do you get paid for that art?
Well, most of what I've done is for game jams, you know. I have been paid a few times, so...
Do you have to tell Centrelink about that?
Well, I mean, I do, but it's money, but they'll drop me back for that week. But not if it's under $50, though.
Hi, I'm from the ATO.
No, ATO!
You need to decide whether you're in business or not. We have a set of questions to help you.
What difference does that make?
If you're only doing it as a hobby, you're not looking for customers, you don't have a business name. You won't have to put anything about your hobby in your income tax returns. Of course, you won't be able to claim back any GST that you pay on hobby expenses.
Huh. I am thinking of getting a business name and setting up a website.
Hi, I'm from ASIC.
Hey, Sig, is that?
So, if you're going to trade under a different name, you need to register it. You have to be in business to register it.
Oh. Well, in that case, I would just call it Soul Trader Out.
Sorry, Sol. That's not your own name. You still need to register it.
How much is that going to cost?
That's $37 a year.
Oh, that's not so bad. I have a friend who's paying $99 a year.
When your renewal is due, you'll get a letter from different companies offering to do the renewal for you. They look official, but they're not related to ASIC.
Cool. I'm going to get a business name then.
And an ABN. Registration of a business name comes with an Australian business number.
Hi, I'm from the ATO.
Oh no, the ATO.
You show your ABN when you're buying goods for business purposes. You'll still be charged your GST when you buy. You'll have to keep records, and it's a good idea to have a separate business account. You now, when you have your ABN, have to declare your income in your income tax return. But you only declare profit because you do get to deduct your expenses from that income.
So I get GST credits?
No. We note you haven't applied for GST registration. So if you're not registered for GST, you don't charge GST and you're not entitled to GST input credits.
So really I've got my ABN, but I can hold off on GST registration for now? I guess it would be good timing to register for GST before I buy my next big computer.
I did not say that.
Thank you very much for talking us through your business situation, Sol. Now we'll move to our second set of panelists today. Who do we have here?
Hi, Interrogator. I'm Partner A.
And I'm Partner B.
And together, we're the AB Partnership. You let me down.
Nice to meet you, A and B. Can you tell us a bit about your game dev business?
We both have full-time jobs.
Yes, we do work on the side for studios, basically when they call us up and ask us.
So, we have an ABN, but we haven't been charging GST.
This is our first year, so we're not really sure how our tax is going to work.
Hi, I'm from the ATO.
Oh no, not the ATO.
You haven't employed people or charged GST, so you won't need to launch activity statements. You just need to lodge a partnership income tax return to show how much profit or loss was made during the year. This information gets fed into your individual income tax returns. If you made a loss, you generally won't be able to claim it as a deduction against your other incomes, against your job incomes. You'll have to carry it forward to claim against future business income.
We're considering registering for GST.
Well, why? Why do you want to register for GST? You're making well under $75,000 a year, aren't you? That means you have a choice.
We've made a cute little game, and we've decided to publish it.
The game stores need proof that we're registered for GST.
Well, you'll have to... hang on a minute. You'll have to start lodging quarterly BASs once you're registered. As you can see, the GST is paid directly by the partnership and not by the individuals. You will also have to charge GST on all your invoices, not just the game.
And they want us to have a DUNS number as well.
Hi, I'm from ASIC. The DUNS system is a private US checking system. It has nothing to do with ASIC or the ATO. I think you'll find an application for DUNS number is generally handled through the stores and can take days or even weeks.
Well, you seem to have a clear business plan. Have you ever thought about forming a company? Partners A and B?
But why?
In case anything goes wrong.
We trust each other. What can go wrong?
Hi, I'm from the ATO.
No, not the ATO.
Say the March BAS was $1,000. The partnership agreement is a 50-50 split. Partner A paid her $500, but partner B didn't pay his $500.
Hey, I paid off the car.
The ATO can pursue partner A for the remaining $500.
What? Why? I paid my share. I have bank statements to prove it.
Yeah, leave her alone. I'll enter a payment arrangement to pay it.
Thanks, babe.
As you can see, the GST is paid directly from the partnership to the ATO. Partners are jointly and severally liable. The ATO can garnish you the amount from partner A's bank account.
The ATO wouldn't take money directly out of my bank account.
They can and they will.
So how could forming a company help?
A company has limited liability. The ATO can only take out money from the company account for company tax debts. not from director accounts unless they've done something criminal.
I like being in partnership. We don't need limited liability.
Hi, I'm from ASIC. As well as the tax example given by the ATO, another example of limited liability might be where your app had a bug which allowed ransomware attack. Your US client lost hundreds of thousands of dollars and days of production. If the US client sued, they could be awarded a sum so high the partners could lose their house. But if they sued the company, the amount the company has to pay is limited to the amount the company has.
That makes sense, but we want to keep our trade name.
You can transfer the trade name to another legal entity.
This seems like a good time to turn to someone who is already running a company. Last but not least on our panel, can you tell us your name and your business, please?
Hi, my name is Emmanuel, and I'm the owner of 7D Games Studio Pty Ltd.
Hi, I'm from ASIC. When you say owner, do you mean you are the only shareholder of the company?
Yes,
Who are the directors?
I am.
Who is the company secretary?
My wife is.
Who is the public officer?
Yeah, my wife acts as the public officer. Yeah.
Who is the financial officer?
My wife as well.
Thank you. Of course, that's all on public record. So, you're aware of your duties as a corporate officer holder?
Yes.
I'll just run through them for you. You show your Australian business number or Australian company number on all documents. You keep all company records, you stay solvent, and most importantly, you lodge your annual tax reports with ASIC.
Yes, I do all that.
Excellent.
Thanks for that, ASIC. I thought I was the interrogator here. So, XYZ company, what does your company do?
Well, we've been publishing small mobile games and apps, and we also contract out our services to larger studios. I hire game devs to help me out on some of the games, but now I want to pitch a larger game to publishers and venture capitalists, and they will only fund companies.
So you've got an ABN and you're registered for GST?
Yes, that's right, and I've also got an ACN number.
Great. Well, now that we know who everybody is, let's find out how much it costs to run an indie game business. We'll start with you, Sole Trader. Can you tell us what you spent your money on last year?
What money? I'm just kidding. I don't have any funds to spare, so I use free assets whenever possible.
How much would you spend on software to make your game assets?
Software tools. There are a lot of alternatives to paid software. For example, I use GIMP instead of Photoshop for pictures, Inkscape instead of Adobe Illustrator for vector drawings, Blender for 3D work instead of Audacity for mixing sound. Game engines specifically, I need to be able to use both Unity and Unreal to suit customers' needs. Under the limit in sales there, so they're free. Storage and sharing, however, I use Google Drive and Dropbox, and I make sure I stay under the limits.
So, zero, in fact, spending on software. What about assets made by other people?
When I need music, there's a heap of sites that provide free music. When I need sound effects, I just go to sound libraries like Sound Bible and Freesound. I check out the Creative Commons licenses, and I find a CC0 license I know I can use, and I do what I want with that sound. When I need art or scripts, I first check on the Unity Asset Store. There's some quite good free assets out there. Art sites host free art, and GitHub has many free programs.
Still no money spent as yet. Aha, what about office expenses?
My parents bought me a computer recently. That is a true story. Does that count?
Hi, I'm from the ATO. You can't claim income tax expenses you haven't made. If your father has given you the money to buy the computer yourself, it would be deductible. Additionally, you can't claim GST inputs because you're not registered for GST.
I'm not sure I want to ruin the relationship for tax deduction, mate. I don't think I've got that much tax to pay this year anyway, so...
Anyone would think there's more to life than tax.
Other office expenses then? Office furniture like a computer chair, internet, rent, electricity.
No, man, it's all paid for me.
What about accounting software? A lot of accounting software seems to start at $15 a month.
So far, I have kept track of all my incomings and outgoings in Google Sheets, which is free.
Hi, I'm from ASIC.
It's basic.
You're welcome to keep your records using any software program, but if you're serious about being in business, you are soon going to need to use an accounting program.
Thank you. I will bear that in mind.
You mentioned a website before.
Yes. Yes. When I get my ABN, I'll buy a .com.au domain name. It cost me a couple $100. Now I'm paying for hosting with the same company.
I've heard horror stories of people checking the availability of a domain name, and when they went back to buy it, it had doubled in value.
Yes, I have also heard that. I guess I'll pick it up straight away then.
And the $2 hosts are likely to let you transfer your domain name.
Alright, so I'll look around first.
And website hosting?
I only need a cheap website, less than 6 pages, no sale buttons. I can just use a shared web host and keep the price down to about $5 a month.
So far we're up to $70 per year. Do you pay insurance?
I do not.
Well, I know one expense you're going to incur. Registering a business name costs $37 a year.
Okay.
Have you been able to avoid any other accounting fees?
So far, I've been doing my own income tax on MyGov, but now I'm gonna have an ABN, so I guess I'll need to help lodge a business income tax return.
One last thing I can think of is bank fees.
Yeah, I don't pay bank fees.
Okay, well, I don't think I know anyone else who can run the business for $607 a year. But you're doing it. Well done, sir. So, to move on to our A and B partners, do you have a similar scale of costs?
No.
We spend more because we have so little time to do work on our business.
Well, let's get through the same list. Let's go through the same list, shall we? We'll start with software tools you use.
As you can see, we use Maya, Substance Painter, and the Adobe Suite to create our art assets, as well as a couple of other tools.
So your total cost of creative software was over $2,500. Did you have to pay for any game engine software development kits as well?
We don't work on console games, so we were spared the cost of SDKs, thankfully.
Although, we've been looking at Nintendo. Someone said that it cost $2,500 to develop on.
And storage and sharing software? on top of that?
There is so much out there.
Yeah, we use 2 different platforms because our clients have different preferences.
Now, I gather you don't pay any wages?
No.
But we paid for some contract work, though.
Yeah, custom music and sound effects. We mostly make our own assets.
This is really interesting. Can you tell me about your office expenses? Let's start with office software.
Well, working with other businesses, we find we really need to use the Microsoft Office suite.
And if you get the business plan, it comes with Microsoft Teams.
I think our most expensive office software is the accounting package Xero.
Yeah, we weren't really sure. We looked at Intuit, QuickBooks, and Reckon Online, and MYOB.
We wanted to be ready for if we ever employ anyone. You have to lodge pays online these days to satisfy the single-touch payroll requirements.
Also, SuperStream requirements are really onerous if you don't send your employees super to the clearinghouses electronically.
What are your other office expenses on top of all of that then?
Well, we have a home office where we work after hours. Its footprint is 10% of our home, and we only use it for business purposes.
Yeah.
So 10% of our rent and electricity is used in making games for our business.
And we had to buy a multi-function center printer, which has a scanner for signing and sending legal documents.
This is really starting to add up. If my arithmetic is correct, we are currently at $8,643. We're now up to marketing expenses as well.
I'd say our most important expense is our website.
Yeah, we actually took out 6 domain names: anb.com, anb.com.au, anb.games, Then the same but with AB instead of A and B.
We went with a reputable hosting company and we paid extra to keep domain owner details private.
The most difficult decision we had to make was whether to attend an interstate conference.
In the end, we decided it would be too much money and time, as well as the uncertainty of last-minute COVID restrictions. Neither of us can afford to lose 14 days in quarantine away from our jobs and our cats.
But we did show a game at a local conference.
I guess another marketing cost is how much you pay to actually put your game up on the store.
And then translating the store descriptions for different countries. We did 9 languages.
And business cards, we did our own.
But the logo we got made for us.
And the game trailer.
We saved money by making subtitles for ourselves.
We have a Vimeo Plus subscription to manage gameplay videos.
And then there's the marketing to other studios. We have an ArtStation portfolio.
And I had to get a police check because I went into schools to demonstrate a game.
So even keeping the cost down where you can, you've still racked up $13,050 in expenses so far. You've mentioned some software subscriptions. Are there any other subscriptions you pay on top of that?
I keep up my professional membership.
And of course, we're members of IGEA. They provide us with legal templates and a lot of support.
Can you tell us how much you pay in insurance?
Well, we do have contents insurance.
And of course, we also took out business insurance.
What about legal costs?
Like Sol here, we registered our business name.
We also don't have a formal partnership agreement.
We're getting really close to the end. Can you tell me about your accounting fees?
We're lodging our first partnership return this year, and of course our individual income tax returns.
Hi, I'm from the ATO.
No, not the ATO.
I don't see any accounting costs for lodging business activity statements.
We do our own business activity statements on the ATO online services for businesses using our MyGov ID.
Thank you.
And the very last costs I will ask you about are bank fees.
That's actually really hard to quantify when you're doing business internationally.
Yeah, you can't just compare the transfer fees the different institutions charge. You have to look at the exchange rate they're using.
The PayPal exchange rate is very poor.
Even the traditional banks don't have very good exchange rates.
At the moment, we're using Wise. Some people use Swipe as it's more convenient.
So if you really are partners, if you really were partners A and B, you would have spent $15,859 running your business just this year.
Yes.
Okay, well before we have a break, we'll have a director who can tell us about costs for a game development company, XYZ company. We won't go into as much detail as we did with partners A and B. What we're looking for here is how company expenses different from maybe a smaller business. Again, we'll start with the cost of making the game, starting with software tools.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to keep it short. We use basically the same software that partner A and B do. The only reason our cost is higher is that we have more people using the software.
Now your game engines are going to cost more, aren't they?
Oh yes, at the moment I'm funding 4 Unity seats, and luckily I'm still under the limit with Unreal Engine.
And software for storage and sharing?
We have to pay a lot more storage, obviously, because there are 6 people who we need to share work with on a regular basis, and we have a business plan for that with a storage company.
And other costs of making games?
We make almost all of our own game assets except for sound. We find it more efficient to source out our sound effects from libraries and than buy each one individually.
And now that we've made the game, let's talk about office expenses.
Yes, again, our software expenses are higher because there are more of us. We work full time Some of us work remotely, and 2 of us find that we're more productive if we work in the same office.
We are really ripping through this. Can you tell me about your marketing costs?
Well, we had the same concerns as partner A and B about travelling interstate, but we really had to do it. We limited the number of people who would normally help to exhibit the product, and fortunately we didn't get trapped in quarantine.
And any store fees?
Yes, the store fees are the same whether you are an individual or a company. We put out 10 games, and that's why our figure is higher.
Before I ask about general marketing costs, can I ask you whether you count food and drinks as a cost?
Well, if the company pays for it, then it's a company expense, company cost.
Hi, I'm from the ATO.
Oh,
no, not the ATO.
Entertainment costs are not deductible for income tax, and GST credits can't be claimed for them.
Yes, I was going on to explain that they have to go in the company's accounts, but they are not claimed anywhere.
Sorry.
So, on to general marketing costs.
Apart from using the business version of some of the subscriptions, our costs are nearly identical to partners A and B, except of course multiplied by the number of games.
Are your subscriptions the same too?
Well, we pay for professional memberships, and I am a member of the Australian Institute for Company Directors. Our turnover is under $1 million, so we pay the same GEA membership fee.
And now we come to the big discriminator.
Yes, salary and wages. As a company, I pay our employee wages. They are casuals, but the number adds up fast.
Well, after that, everything will seem small. The next expense on the list is insurance.
Well, I guess the main difference is that as an employer, I have to pay a return to work SA insurance. It used to be called workers' comp. Also, I pay cyber insurance so I can get help if I get a ransomware attack.
Now, there's an expense that only companies can claim. Have you undertaken any research and development activities?
Yeah, research and development is risk money. We make innovative, creative, new games, but so far we haven't done any blue sky research.
Well, in that case, I'm pleased to say I only have 3 more questions for you before the break. Can you quantify your legal costs for me?
Yeah, sure. I had to pay fees to ASIC to set up a company. Then I had to pay for copies so I could prove I was the company director to Steam.
I suppose with all this legal work, your accounting fees are quite high too?
Yes, they are. The company paid for my individual tax return as well, but not, of course, for my employees. They'll be lodging their salary wages returns on MyGov for free.
Unless they have a business on the side.
Yes, of course. That's how I started.
So final cost, bank fees.
Yes, we have 2 bank accounts and international transaction fees.
That's all my questions for now. Well, thank you to our hard-working panel. This has been very enlightening so far. Welcome back, everyone. Just before our fine panel shared with us their business entities, the work they do, and their business expenses as well. I'd much rather talk about income though. Now we're going to hear about funding, invoicing, and business records. So, we'll start with you as always. Have you received any funding for your business?
Well, as I previously explained, my dad bought me a computer. I'm also thinking of asking family and friends to help me make a game. So, and if I can get a campaign together, I might run a Kickstarter. But I need a trailer for that, and game assets and stuff.
Thanks, all. Partners A and B, have you received any business funding?
We always keep an eye out for any available funding opportunities. Unfortunately, though, there are none that fit us at the moment.
There are many angel investors, publishers, and venture capitalists who are looking to fund a good game for a share of the profits.
We're going to do some we're going to do the pitching webinars with Jason De La Rocca to show us how to present our game to funding bodies.
Well, good luck, partners A and B, and lucky last, as usual, company XYZ. Have you received any business funding yourself?
We've put a project together now that will meet the 250,000 minimum requirements for the South Australian government. That will give us $25,000 rebate. Partners A and B, you might like to look at the government loan. If you are looking to raise funds, you can get a higher amount if you have matching funds.
We turn now from business funding.
Thanks, XYZ.
Money from selling our own products and services. So, can you tell us about invoicing your clients?
I cannot, because I don't really know what to do.
Hi, I'm from the ATO.
Oh no, not the ATO.
If you are selling for under $75, you don't need to bill your client. But since they have to know details about the transaction, it would be polite to and could save confusion down the track if there are further sales. If you're selling for over $75, you need to provide an invoice.
Do I have to have a ABN to stop people withholding the 47% every time they pay me?
No, you can include a note saying you're not in business, or a formal statement via supplier.
If we buy something from someone without an ABN and they don't give us a statement identifying themselves and saying they're not in business, how does that work?
You need to withhold the 47% from their payment and pay it to the ATO in the PAYG part of your business activity statement, your BAS.
Well, okay, I am going to have an ABN.
Your clients will need to see your ABN so they don't withhold the 47% withholding tax. Just make sure you do not label your invoices as tax invoices because you won't be registered for GST.
Hi, we've registered for GST. Is there anything we should know about invoicing?
You've registered for GST, so if any sale is more than $75, you have to issue invoices showing 7 things. It must be called tax invoice. It must have your name and your ABN, the date of issue, a description identifying sold items, including quantity and price, but as you can see in this example, the quantity is implied. You must also explain both, now this counts as 6 and 7, the GST amount and how much is GST taxable. Where it says total price including GST, the assumption is that it is 100% taxable and that the GST is 1/11 of that price. Oh, more, wait a minute. If the invoice is more than $1,000, see how it changes? So I'll go back and I'll go forward. You must show the buyer's name or ABN. So we're identifying the buyer on an invoice worth more than $1,000. You also show the GST for each line item, and you can't assume the 100% GST tax. You have to state it. So not only have we got total amount payable, we've also said the total price includes GST.
Can I confirm what actually happens after people charge GST on an invoice?
Sure. You pay the amount of GST you collected, say $80, less any GST you paid on inputs. Say GST on art you commissioned, which could be, say, $10. Which would mean that you would pay the net amount of $70 in that example. You'll be lodging business activity statements every quarter. Except I've got the wrong page. Wait a minute. Oh, I've lost the page. That means every 3 months. The financial year starts in July. So the first quarter is July, August, September. Second quarter is October, November, December, and so on.
I've been told I have yet another report to make for tax purposes.
I think you mean, if I can find it, I've got the wrong page. Well, anyway, I think you mean the TPAR, the Taxable Payments Annual Report. They are increasing the number of industries that you have to report payments to, and programming has been called. So it doesn't change your tax liability, it just means you need to report.
All this is well and good for Australian sales where we're invoicing people, but we sell games through game stores and they do the invoicing for us.
Yeah, so what do we do about GST then?
I found my pages. Okay, this is where we have to understand where our industry fits for GST. Some goods and services are input taxed. They're just financial. You can't charge GST on financial services, and you can't claim GST credits either. That's why you never see GST charged on your banking fees. There are a limited number of goods which are GST free. Raw foods, education, medicine, water, electricity, they're different because although the suppliers don't charge GST for them, the suppliers are still allowed to claim GST credits for all their business expenses. Exports is on the list as a GST-free supply. Game developers can claim GST credits for all their business expenses, whether they are exported or not. Oh, when it comes to charging GST, most stores do it for you. They charge GST on Australian sales, New Zealand GST on New Zealand sales, VAT on English sales, and sales tax on US sales. They pay the taxes to the different countries for you. This comes out of the amount that you are selling for. They also take out their commission. There are two things that go wrong, however. As you can see in the example, the store has withheld a further 30% tax for the foreign country. This is because no ITIN was supplied to the game store, which is the US individual tax identification number. This withholding tax can be claimed back in the business income tax return because Australia has a double tax agreement with most countries, but they need an ITIN to marry it up with. The other thing that can go wrong is that not all stores pay the GST for you. There's an excellent webinar by IGEA, which the link is there. It looks as though you need to add up all your Android sales, which are Australian, and pay 1/11 in BASs of that annual BASs.
Yes, well, there's something else I've noticed about the game stores. They take a long time to pay. It's always a certain number of days after the end of the month.
Well, that's just depressing. Let's get on with the last of our interviews before the quiz. We're going to talk about business records. So what type of paperwork do you have to keep?
I keep emails setting out what the client wants, especially the number of revisions that we agreed on before extra payment can be made. I also have all my bank statements online. I'm not how long do I have to keep them for?
I'm from the ATO. You need to keep your business records for 5 years. If it was a cash transaction, you need to make a note of the date, the amount, the type of transaction, and whether there was GST.
Thank you.
Partners A and B, do you have anything which is not about tax to add to SOLs?
We have NDAs, which are non-disclosure agreements we have signed. They are also called one-way confidentiality agreements.
XYZ, do you have anything which is not about tax to add on top of this?
Probably my most important paperwork is any joint venture memoranda, consultancy agreements and developer agreements, and of course my chain of title documents proving I own the intellectual property, that is the IP of everything I sell. I myself have a director loan agreement, and of course all my staff have employment agreements.
Yes, tell me more about that employment paperwork.
Well, when you employ someone, you have to give them 4 legal forms: the Fair Work Information Statement, the new Casual Employment Information Statement, the superannuation choice form, and the TFN tax file number declaration form. If you can't get the TFN declaration signed, you have to I have to withhold 47% tax, PAYG tax on the wages.
Thank you very much. Great, Scott. I have learned a lot tonight. I know about sole traders, partners and companies. I know how they try to get funding and where they spend their money. I even know the rules of issuing invoices, paying tax and keeping records. Well, most of that, that was a lot. That's the end of the scripted interviews. We are very grateful to our actors, Murray Curtis and Bales, is that how you say it? Yes. Benjamin Sims, Emmanuel 777, Adam Dowley, and Kathy Smart. The actors were reading from lines, if you can't tell, and all mistakes belong to Kathy, apparently. Corrections will be very welcome, as Kathy will be posting the PowerPoint slides that you've been seeing to go with the talk. The last part of the evening belongs to Kathy, who, I believe, has some quiz questions for you. The actors are welcome to stay where they are or run and escape either way. I myself am going to sit down.
Thank you, thank you. How much time have we got till the end? 10 minutes? Like how long have we got the quiz to do?
Yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have some questions for you, and they're just a bit out of order. If you have a bookkeeper, can you rely on their advice? So can you explain to the tax office, it's not my fault, my bookkeeper told me.
Yep.
So what about hands for yes and hands for no? Hands for yes? Oh, hands for no? Okay, you're all wrong. The only person that was right, who said yes? Okay, you get a prize. Yeah. If they're registered, you can blame them.
I'm gonna say I was going to say yes, but I thought they might say some kind of conditional thing.
Yeah, well, all right. You know, okay, quite right. So they have to actually be registered bookkeepers, and there's a place to look that up. Because a lot of people say they're registered when they're not. It's quite common. In fact, the ones you don't want are the ones that will pretend they are. The other good thing about having a registered tax agent or bookkeeper or accountant is that they get you an additional 14 days to lodge if you need extra, because lodgement always comes with payment. So you're basically extra 14 days to pay. And I've got the address of the Tax Practitioners Board register, where you can check that the person that pretends they can help you actually is allowed to do that. Okay, who's the first to tell me what is an integrated client account?
Is that like 0?
No?
No?
It's an ATO account, and you'll get a note saying your integrated client account is late or something. It's everything that isn't income tax. So it's all your BASs, so it's your GST, your PAYG if you've got employment. Okay, right, nobody won a prize for that. Actually I've got an example of that. So in this example, Emmanuel owns the blue company, which lodges, it's got a company income tax account, and underneath it, it's got a company integrated client account with his GST and his PAYG. The pink, as a director, he has his personal income tax account, his personal integrated client account. Now, why would he have that? He's not paying BAS and he's not employing anybody. But if he's earning income from a company, he has to pay it a bit like you and I pay out of our salary and wage, PAYG. He has to pay PAYE, pay as you earn. So again, it's estimated tax that he pays on a regular basis once he's earned more than $5,000 a week. Why are some companies called $2 companies? Oh, guys!
Why? Sorry, say again?
Why are some companies called $2 companies? It's because when you set them up, That's the minimum amount of shares that you can hold in the company. So if the company goes bust, it's got to pay $2. And that's us. That's most proprietary limited companies in Australia are $2 companies. So, you know, no one can take your house. Well, there's one that you can only do with a phone. I was going to say, what is the ABN for Joy Ever After Stories, which is my ABN? And because, you might not know, there's an ABN lookup. So the first person to look up and find my ABN will get this magnificent prize. Magnificent.
1, 5, 6, 3, 4, 3, 5, 6, 5, 7.
Yay! Well done.
Your computer, he's cheating.
That's fine. Cheating's good. That's fine. Okay. Okay. Can you lose your ABN? I have yeses and nos. Can you lose your ABN if you don't use it?
Yes.
Yes?
After a certain amount of time.
Yes.
Oh, now no's?
I think they do. They call you and ask you if you want to keep it.
No, that must have been a long time ago.
Maybe.
They can't do it if you're in debt.
Ah, yes. But then you would have used it. I see. Well, Michael, I'm going to add that. See, there's something I learned. Not if in debt. Thank you. Well, Michael, that means you get 2 prizes because you actually beat me. So those are for you. Right. Okay. Now, I think we all know when BASs are due. So we know that their quarter ends July, August, September quarter, October, November, December quarter, and so on. So there's 4 quarters in the year. Now, the law says your activity statement is due 21 days after the end of the quarter. So I think we're all quite clear. March quarter is the last one that finished. So your activity statement is due, let's all say it. 21st of April. Yes.
That's my birthday.
Yes. I think he gets another prize. This is like accounting. Okay, so if you're lodging a BAS, however, you get that extra 7 days, so it's due on the 28th. So, it's not that simple. So we get the end of March, we get 28 days after the close of the month to lodge our BAS. If we're lodging electronically, we get another 14 days to pay. If we're lodging through a registered BAS agent, we get another 14 days to pay. And then, if it falls due on a weekend, they make it the following Monday. So I was going to ask you, if has anyone figured out what's the latest that your March BAS would be payable? Ooh,
Yeah, I'm thinking that too.
I actually thought it was the 12th, but actually you might be right. Oh, look, we'll just pretend that.
That's why you say confidently.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you could take.
Well, it's like a couple of months, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maximum.
Yes.
If you do electronically and goes through a tax fee.
And it's always falling, whenever that says due, they're talking about lodgement and payment. They're always at the same time.
Kathy, is your BAS due depending on how much you earn? If you earn less, you don't have to do your BAS. You can do your BAS less often.
Oh, very good point, Sebastian. You can opt to lodge your BAS once a year if you're under a certain limit, which we probably, or I certainly would be. And you can choose to do that. A lot of people, you can also choose to lodge monthly, like the larger companies have to. So thank you, Sebastian. So a lot of people just stick with the quarterly because that's when they're catching up with things, because it's a bit hard if you have to chase something up that's a year old. But yes, you're quite right. Actually, if they're there for he has beaten me, he's better than me, so I'm not.
He gets all of it.
I'm such a bad thrower. Okay, right, next one. All right, I have a trick question for you. Let's say none of the other requirements were met, and the law states, doesn't it, that it's 28 days after the end of the month. So when is the December BAS due? 28th of January, unless you're Australian. In which case, it's the 28th of February because we close down in January. So they legislated that for every other month, it's 28 days after the close of the month, but for December, you get that extra month. So
Because HO is on holidays.
no, because all the farmers are. Like nobody lodges the bass. So yeah, so they've got to just, there you go. Okay, who knows, we figured out when the Australian financial year was. It was July through to June. Who knows, who's the first to tell me the US financial year? Yes! Well done! Okay, here's a very tricky one. Who knows the UK financial year?
Doesn't exist.
Oh, that's, well, I don't know that. I hope I'm right. I thought it was the 6th of April until the 5th of April. Believe it or not, they have the strangest dates. And Canada's got a strange one, but I can't remember it. So the only reason that's important is that you're dealing with people in very different financial situations to you. So they'll be quite happily saying, let's have a meeting on the 30th of June. And of course you're frantically trying to get all of the last things tidied up or any purchases made as quickly as you can before the end of June. And that's why September is such a dead, dull month. Like you shouldn't even try to deal with US people in August, which is the equivalent of our January. Don't chase up agents or upset them because they're having their one holiday a year. ATO and Centrelink. If you get a letter from Centrelink that says you don't have to lodge an income tax return for a particular year, do you have to notify the ATO? So let's hear the yeses. Okay, and let's hear the no's. Okay, don't trust anything. Okay, so the yeses, because Centrelink is saying, don't worry about it, we've got you covered, you don't have to lodge a tax return.
I think I've got enough wins.
No, it's a count, it's a count.
Oh, are we not supposed to eat them?
No, you can eat them too.
Oh, good.
And so, and so you'll ring up the ATO about something else, and they say, oh, we can't help you because you've got outstanding lodgements. And you'll be saying, what? And they'll be saying, yes, back in 2003, actually, usually it would, back in 2011, you didn't lodge a tax return. You have to lodge a tax return. And if you find it, if you hunt around, you might get a Centrelink statement that shows how much you earn and you can lodge it. But the best thing to do is lodge a thing saying, return not necessary. And then you don't have to worry about the figures. You just lodge a return not necessary. You suddenly no longer have an outstanding tax return, and you can deal with the tax office about whatever it was that you rang them about in the first place. Quite a trick to it. Okay, here's a very common scenario, a distressingly common scenario, and I was going to make it happen in the talk. So we'll pretend we have partners A and B, and one of them gets a phone call, and they say, I'm from the ATO, can you identify yourself? And they say, you owe $8,800. One of the partners does. Okay, Ben did. Okay, we'll put him, make it him. So Ben owes $8,800, and he says, why? And they say, well, back in 2016, you registered for GST, and you didn't lodge any BASs because the partnership went defunct, or for whatever reason there was no tax to pay. So you then received a lodgement reminder which went to your address that you'd moved from, and you didn't tell the ATO that you'd moved. And then you received a warning letter, and then you received late lodgement penalty for that BAS, by which time the next BAS was due and the same system went through. So while you were getting payments which used to be $110, I think it's now $180 for each month that they're late, up until a limit of 3 months worth or something, you then also were receiving interest charge general interest charge on the amount that was apparently outstanding. So they ring up and they say, actually they don't ring up, they can't find you, but they find your bank account. So the bank account, they take the money out of your bank account.
That's not.
And it's quite common. So it's a good idea to ring the ATO if you ever, or not sure, well these days you can actually look it up on MyGovID. It's really good that we can do our own tax now. And just be aware of where you stand. And you can lodge nils, and if you lodge a nil, then they are required to take away. Well, that's not true. If you want them to take off the late payment penalty, which will then take off the general interest charge. Even if you lodge a nil, that penalty is still sitting on your account. You can't do anything until you've lodged, because if you rang them and said, you know, there was nothing, they said, well, you haven't told us, like, so you must first you lodge your nils, then you like cancel that, cancel it, and then you ring up and you explain what happened, and you try and get them to remit the penalty and explain. And since they were nils, you've got a good chance. So well done, Ben. Safe.
Is that because there was like no money owing?
Yes, because there were nils.
Yeah.
If there'd been money owing, it'd be hard to explain why you didn't pay it over all that time. And certainly the late lodgement and the general interest charge should apply in that case. You can still, like if you had a medical reason, or I mean, yeah, there are many reasons that would explain why you didn't lodge. And
Is it possible to do a payment arrangement like before they take the money out if you become aware of it?
It's probably better to ask for remission. It's probably better to lodge, ask for remission, and only make a payment arrangement if you actually end up owing the money.
Yeah, that's what I meant. If you end up owing money.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
So a payment arrangement. Sometimes you can get them automatically if you can pay it in under 6 months, but other times you need to call them and to get a payment arrangement, you need to explain your financial circumstances. Okay. When you call the ATO, if you've got a company or a partnership, you need to identify both yourself. You always have to identify yourself as an individual, but you also have to identify the legal entity that you're calling on behalf of, and therefore make sure you've got a full identification for both. If it's the first time, if you haven't got voice identification, they'll say, please repeat after me, at the tax office, my voice is my password, or something like that. And then it says again, repeat after me, so at the tax office, my voice is my password. And then it says, repeat after me, and you do it 3 times, and you think, oh, there's something wrong with the phone. But it is 3 times. It just doesn't warn you it's going to be 3 times. Okay, here's a question. Yeses and nos. Can a sole trader employ people?
Yes.
Michael's got a yes? Okay. How many other yeses?
No, because the wording.
Okay, and no's?
You can contract.
Guys, a sole trader is merely that they own the business. One person owns that business. That business can do anything, including employing people. So can you give that to Michael as well? And you did a yes, didn't you? Yes. And who else was well, I'm throwing if I'm such a good thrower. Oh, yeah, that's good. And there was some more. Yes? Yes? Okay, so... Okay, my next question, if you deal with zero, when you deal with some accounting software, they refer to tax organisations and are often using information that might be correct, but they might not be correct. So in Xero, it refers to the IRD. So who knows who they're referring to? Call out. Nope. IRS is US, which is the Internal Revenue Service. IRD is the New Zealand International Revenue Department. And for some reason, they tell us that we have to lodge masses to the IRD. So we're better than zero, we know better. That was all.